When Love Turned Dangerous, the story of Samuel and Lydia. Samuel had always been invisible. Not in the dramatic, cinematic sense, but in a quiet, almost imperceptible way. He could sit in a crowded room and feel the world moving around him while he remained stationary, a shadow in the background. In classrooms, he took a seat in the back. In conversations, he listened more than he spoke. In life, he watched people move forward while he stayed still, carefully avoiding attention. It wasn't that Samuel lacked intelligence or even humor. He had both, but the world didn't notice subtlety, and he never quite learned how to sell himself. Confidence wasn't his language. Quiet reflection was. Depth was his gift. And in a world obsessed with appearances, depth often goes unseen. He carried himself like someone who expected to be overlooked. And over time, he learned to accept it. People didn't choose him, and he began to believe he wasn't meant to be chosen. The arrival of Lydia. Then, Lydia arrived in his life. She was a spark in the ordinary. Not flashy or arrogant, but naturally magnetic. She had a presence that demanded attention without asking for it. A kind of effortless light that made people lean in. Her laughter was soft but genuine. Her eyes curious and warm. Samuel noticed her immediately. He didn't chase her. He didn't try to impress. He simply observed, captivated by how she carried herself, by the small gestures she made that revealed her kindness, her intelligence, her authenticity. When she spoke to him, truly spoke to him, Samuel felt something he hadn't felt in years. Recognition. She heard his words. She saw him, not the surface, not the appearance, but the person behind the quiet exterior. For Samuel, this was transformative. He began to believe that maybe love could exist for someone like him. Maybe it wasn't reserved for the confident, the charismatic, the socially adored. Maybe it could exist for the quiet, the thoughtful, the invisible. Friendship, the slow burn of love. Over the months, Samuel and Lydia became friends. They shared walks after classes, long conversations over coffee, moments of silence that felt comforting rather than awkward. Lydia didn't push. She didn't ask for anything he wasn't ready to give. Her presence was gentle, grounding, and unknowingly, it began to build something dangerous in Samuel's heart. Oh, hope. Hope is a fragile thing. And when it's nurtured quietly, in secret, it can grow into obsession. Samuel loved her slowly, carefully, almost secretly. He watched her interact with others, felt a pang when she laughed at someone else's joke, felt a quiet jealousy that he chastised himself for even thinking. He told himself it was fine, that love unspoken was safe, that he could be content simply being near her. But human hearts are not meant to linger only in observation. The deeper the affection, the harder it becomes to stay silent. Samuel's admiration for Lydia began to demand expression. The confession! One evening, after weeks of agonizing over words he couldn't find, Samuel finally told her. It wasn't dramatic, no grand declaration, just a trembling honesty that escaped before he could filter it. I like you, more than a friend. Lydia listened quietly. She didn't laugh, she didn't tease, she didn't recoil. She simply shook her head. I'm sorry, Samuel, she said gently. I don't feel the same way. Her words were soft, kind even, but for Samuel, they felt like a fracture in the earth beneath his feet. His world shifted in a way he had not anticipated. Rejection is never easy, but when you have invested months of quiet devotion, months of hope, it can feel like a betrayal even when it isn't. He smiled and told her he understood. He told himself he was fine. But the truth was far more complicated. Something inside him broke that night. Something deep and dangerous began to form. The slow descent. At first, Samuel tried to manage it. He focused on work, tried to spend time with family, tried to convince himself that rejection was part of life. But pain, unacknowledged, grows like a weed. When Lydia began seeing someone else, Samuel's fragile stability shattered. What had been quiet, longing hardened into bitterness. He convinced himself that Lydia had misled him, that she had toyed with his emotions, that the world had been unfair. Isolation made it worse. Samuel withdrew from friends. He avoided conversations. He let his thoughts echo inside his own head until they became unchallenged truths. He was wronged, he was overlooked, and in his mind, vengeance became a quiet, simmering companion. He started following her, not out of malice at first, but out of a need to understand, to witness the life she had chosen without him. And yet, every glimpse fueled the anger and confusion, the sense that the world was stacked against him. The confrontation one rainy night, after weeks of building tension and unspoken torment, Samuel confronted Lydia. It started as words. Just words, he told himself. Questions, answers, an attempt at closure. But words, once fueled by years of suppressed emotion, can turn dangerous very quickly. Accusations flew. Old grievances that had never existed in reality became part of the narrative Samuel had created for himself. Every act of kindness from her he misinterpreted. Every friendly gesture became evidence of deceit. And then the moment came, a choice. A single impulsive act that would destroy both their lives. The aftermath. The sirens arrived too late. The headlines told a story that was neat and digestible. Young man attacks ex-crush. Tragedy in the rain. Love turns deadly. Samuel became a criminal. Lydia became a victim. But the truth was far more complicated, more human, more tragic. Samuel was not born evil. He was a young man overwhelmed by rejection, unchecked emotion, and unhealed wounds. He had mistaken pain for entitlement, obsession for love, and heartbreak for injustice. Lydia survived, but trust, once natural, became a battlefield. Love, once gentle, became frightening. Every kind word felt like a trap, every touch a potential threat. 2 lives had been irrevocably altered. Reflections on Love and Pain Samuel's story is not unique. Many people carry rejection poorly, nurturing pain into anger, obsession, or even violence. Love, misunderstood or unreciprocated, can twist into something dark if emotions are left unchecked. The story is a reminder. Emotional wounds need attention. Pain should be expressed, not buried, and no person, no matter how deeply loved, owes another their heart in return. Love is not possession. Rejection is not cruelty. Pain, when left untreated, can become destructive. Samuel's crime was loud, but the quiet moments that led to it, the missed words, the hidden longing, the unhealed hurt, were just as loud in shaping the outcome. A warning and reflection. This story is a warning. To those who love quietly, speak, but also guard your heart. To those who reject love, be compassionate, but understand your absence can wound deeply. And to everyone, seek help for emotional pain. Speak, reflect, heal, before it's too late. Because by the time the world notices, the consequences are irreversible. Samuel sits behind bars now, reflecting on a life derailed by a mixture of love, rejection, and unchecked emotions. Lydia carries her own scars, invisible but profound. And the world, as always, moves on, quick to label, slow to understand. Some crimes are loud, others are quiet, born in lonely rooms, in hearts unprepared for love, and in pain that was never met with guidance or care. And the most haunting truth of all, love, when misunderstood, can become deadly, not because of malice, but because human hearts are fragile, and longing is powerful.